Hello, this is Selena. Welcome back to the Summer Garden of Dreaming. This is the fourth annual tour, believe it or not. Where does time pass? We've got lots of new old things, as my little neighbor calls them. And the Garden of Dreaming 2019 now has a new name. It's the Summer Garden of Dreaming and a living museum of found art and broken things. Take a little walk with me. Come into my space. Let's dream together. Let's hear the heartbeat of summer, the song of nature, the birds, the chipmunks, and if we are very lucky, we may get to have a close encounter with one or two or maybe more of them. So for those of you who have been walking with me over the past few years, this is the familiar path. This is a rain chain. I wanted one badly after seeing them during a visit to Japan. In Japan, in the old buildings, these rain chains are used in the place of downspouts, and the water makes such a pretty noise as it comes trickling down. And so, proceeding towards the garden through the hidden gate into my moment my moment of welcome to the secret garden of dreaming, my upcycled, repurposed garden, the living museum of found art and broken, abandoned, unwanted things that have found a new purpose in life. This little shrub here seems to be slowly taking on the shape of the chair. This is its third summer in training. And so your goal is to try and recognize what the original purpose was of the things that you see here. This was a fondue set. And this is the parlor, as you can see. The garden is about 3 weeks late this year because it rained all through June and many of my little annual seedlings rotted. They took a long time to take off. But today I had to make this video, and thank God the heat wave has broken and it's not unbearably hot. The grass has been cut. It rained last night. The lighting is perfect, and I couldn't have asked for a better day. So in this garden we have some abandoned bicycles. In this little combo here, if you look hard enough, you'd see a towel rack with chicken wire draped all over it, which is great, which works great as a trellis for the clematis. The clematis are also on their way out, which is why it was important to do the recording today, because there's something glorious about clematis drooping and climbing all over. This is new. So if you look hard enough, you'll see a lawn chair. You'll see my old laundry basin. And behind, there's a focal point. It's an old dressing table mirror. It came with two sort of sticks, props on the sides, which were perfect to anchor it down onto the chair. This is the view that I get from the window where I sit to write. And oh boy, do I ever get distracted and, of course, inspired. So this is the barbecue pit. It's taken off really, really well this time. Settled in beautifully. If you look hard enough, you'll find another abandoned bicycle. And this gorgeous thing was the door of an old grate. Isn't it just gorgeous? And the mirror reflects a world within a world. So that's the rest of my barbecue pit. The sun is perfect today. It's been a long time since we had a day like this. Either it was just boiling hot and everything was parched, or it was just raining. My scriptures on the old windows are doing beautifully. This one says, "The flowers appear on the earth. The time of singing has come." Oh, I know that feeling when the snow melts and my heart just begins to sing. My spirit seems to sense this before my mind does. And here's the old picture frame. In the past few summers, I had friends standing behind it and posing for pictures, and it really looked like it was a reflection in a mirror. Beautiful optical illusion. This is new. This clematis was just a little baby last summer, and it's in full bloom this year. I created a trellis out of some old pieces of pipe that I picked up. And so here's the wash basin. And more mirrors. I'm sure you wouldn't even know that there's a chair holding the whole setup up. This gorgeous moment, another moment of when you walk through. There's the old lampshade on the lampstand on the base of a lamp on the left, which is a pedestal for a little birdhouse. If you notice, this lovely old abandoned mirror that I picked up is now rotting after several summers outside, but it's fulfilled its purpose, and I should be glad to let it go to wherever old mirrors go, whatever their heaven is. And there's always going to be something more on the curb, or in a thrift store, or at a garage sale. This is a piece of some kind of metal, a round wheel thingy. I couldn't resist. I couldn't drive by. It's perfect for this climbing clematis. And here's my brave two-legged chair hanging in there. The old familiar things. The ivy has still disappointed me. It's been 2 years now. It's not really growing fast enough. There's probably too much of root from the evergreen to let it anchor itself down in the soil. I was hoping that this chair would be covered now with the ivy. Well, you win some, you lose some. Here was a gorgeous 2 lamps that I picked up, fixed, sort of wired them together, stuck some solar lights in, and they are gorgeous at night. Well, if a tree dies, it gets a second life as a bottle tree. The clematis here is on its way out, and I would have been so sad if it didn't make it to this annual walk. The treasure chest, now this coleus here is just recovering after the soggy June it had to cope with. And these are my moments, the moments I'm going to treasure and dream of when too soon it turns cold again. The bird condominium, only 2 bird houses survived the winter in my bird condominium. I picked up this mirror at Salvation Army thrift store. Isn't it gorgeous? I love it. It's just beautiful there, and it looks lovely in the night because the floodlight catches the pieces of colored glass. The roses are finally doing well. I think I have managed, after how many years, to figure out the perfect balance of water, light, and fertilizer. This year I have a morning glory creeping up my CD rack. And lots of new repurposes. As always, I adore the sound of running water. And here's the good old Frog Prince smirking to himself. And this is the view from the deck. As I always say, I don't really prefer to sit out here if I want to read or write, because I end up dozing off to the sound of the water and the birds, or just staring into space. Bless this house and this garden. We all need blessings, don't we? A lot of the glass windows, about 3 or 4 with writings on them, didn't make it through the winter. They got blown off the anchors on the walls and smashed. But as I said, there's always something old and new that comes to replace. What's destroyed, what's lost. That's the law of life, isn't it? There's never a vacuum. 2 summers back, there was a cheeky chipmunk in here. I love the sound of water. Lots of new mirrors. I seem to have a lot of luck seeing them as I pass by. Maybe it's because they sort of gleam in the sun. And when you paint an old chair black, it sort of merges into the background. This is one of those old metal frame lawn chairs. I was thinking about these a couple of weeks ago because I remember about 20 years ago throwing 2 of these out. And didn't I find them? So they're perfect for, I planted a morning glory at the foot of it. It's going to climb up this. It's perfect as a stand. It's perfect as a trellis for a climber. These tulips have got solar lights in them, and they're just gorgeous at night. And the stems are the pipes of the taps that we had to replace in the bathroom. Always a second chance, always a new purpose for everything in life, right? And so we walk. The glass is always exquisite, with the sun shining through it. I love this garden so much. If you're very still, you can hear the wind chimes. It's not very breezy today, so they're not making much of a sound. As I mentioned at the beginning, my garden is about 3 weeks behind schedule because of all the rain that we had. I counted. And there must be over 25 old chairs in this garden. You would never know, would you? They're just silently serving in the background as stands, platforms. Oh, this one is new, the baker's rack. I've been looking for one for ages, and picked one up at a yard sale. And the lady who was selling it or presiding over the yard sale said she refused to take any money for it. She said, "I have no room for it in my house. Please, you're doing me a favor. Take it." Was I delighted. This is a little gazing ball that was made out of an old abandoned soccer ball. It looks really beautiful when the sun's shining. I love how the coleus lends color to my garden. So this is, if you remember from the previous years, this section is the kitchen. It's probably heaven's kitchen now because I've ended up picking up a lot of angels and cherubs and stuff. This was these wind chimes made up of teapot, teacups, spoon and some cutlery. Very pretty. Were a gift. I just sprayed them with silver paint because they were sort of multicolored and didn't were a bit clashing a bit with everything else in the garden. This is a new mirror I picked up at a garage sale last summer because the old one, yep, it had to go to a grave. It was in a rotten frame of mine. Pardon the pun. And this possession, my prized possession this year, a gorgeous 1960s ladder from a friend who said it was hanging around in his parents' garage. He brought it himself. I gave it several coats of waterproofing and hopefully one more before the fall. And it is a perfect display for my vintage kitchen stuff and some birdhouses. So on the bottom rung is what my mum used to make, some kind of ethnic food. And there's vintage sandwich toaster. There's a melon baller, mum's kettle. How I miss her. Whenever I look at this, I think of her. And this lovely little egg beater, if you remember from time before, from years far gone by. And a meat grinder, remember that if you're old enough. Mummy's teapot. And yeah, there's the shopping cart and my little kissing angels. And just outside the kitchen, the barbecue. It takes us. This used to be Angel Corner, but I would say that Angel Corner has now extended all through the area that was once the kitchen. This is another project that started in the fall that's not taking off fast enough for me. It's a crinoline lady. If you can see, she's got her skirts, the skeleton of an umbrella, her hat. Her body is the base of a lamp, the stem of the lamp, I guess a floor lamp, and her hat is the base. She's got the skeleton of an umbrella and a sphere for her head. I planted a morning glory and an ivy, hoping that they would have grown and covered her by now so you could see her shape. But unfortunately, I guess the roots of the cherry tree are not permitting the plants, the creepers, the vines to thrive. Oh, this darling, darling, darling little wheelbarrow. I saw it at an antique store for like it was expensive. Someone had put it out. As they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And this piece of tree stump was really heavy, but my darling better half came with me and we heaved it. We barely managed to get it into the trunk of the car. And these two wash basins. The good old CD rack. The giraffe, he's been around since the beginning. And my wind chimes. And the skeleton of a hanging lamp chandelier with solar bulbs clipped onto it. Looks really, really beautiful at night when the bulbs are glowing. So we're almost reaching the end of our walk. Remember my greenhouse made out of old windows. The roof is made out of 2 fridge shelves. I've got a scripture here from John 15. I am the true vine. This clematis never thrives. I guess too many roots from the big trees and too much shade. It does bloom, but very sparsely, and it's done now. And this was another window. The grass withers and the flower falls, but the word of the Lord abides forever. And this is new. This is what I call my window of opportunity. Sometimes when I come into the garden in the morning, the door has been blown open, and I smile, thinking, my window of opportunity is opened. The Lord God planted a garden in Eden in the very beginning of the Bible. And so we're heading now to the bedroom. I'm quite pleased with how the bedroom has finally progressed. So we have a little detour from off the bedroom. Some new finds. Found an old lawnmower. And here you will find this is the road to nowhere. And I was thinking about it. It's kind of like life, isn't it? You are headed on a particular path and then you get distracted because something seems to be glowing in the distance. So one steps off the path and heads towards the glowing thing, but one finds that it's just an illusion. So that's the road to nowhere. The shed has been really useful to store the outdoor cushions, and these were 3 metal chairs that I picked up in the fall, and I had them under the apple tree. I found some paving stones that fitted perfectly, so we've got some additional seating under the tree. And this lovely little chandelier with solar lights looks incredible at night. I find that I am spending a lot of time, too much time, staring out of the windows because the view is ravishing and the view from every window is different. The bedroom is doing really nicely. As you can see, there's a lighting unit in the bedroom and the coverlet is coming along. You might notice a lot of chicken wire at the base of some of my plants. That is to protect them from the bunny, my enemy, the bunny, who destroyed this. I never thought this clematis would recover from him chewing it all off at the base last year, but I guess these plants are more resilient than we thought. I planted a wisteria here last year, hoping it would grow and cover the roof and the side of the sheds, but that was an expensive purchase that went wrong. As they say, you win some and you lose some. So we've come to the end of our annual tour. This is Selena, your hostess, in the walk through her Summer Garden of Dreaming 2019. Thank you for walking with me. Thank you to those of you who have faithfully walked and talked with me over the past 4 or 5 years. It's been a joy hearing back from people that they enjoy taking this virtual walk, especially in the winter time when it's cold and when their spirits are down. It's a reminder that the sun will always shine, that winter will go at some point, that the time of singing will come. This is Selena from the Garden of Dreaming, reminding you that it's never too old, never too late, and you are never too old to dream. Good night, goodbye, goodbye from the Summer Garden of Dreaming. Can you hear the wind chimes? This is how I get distracted. Goodbye from the Summer Garden of Dreaming 2019. I look forward to seeing you next year as you join me on this exhilarating, joy-filled annual walk. Bye.